Battle of Granicus. This battle takes place after Alexander had consolidated his gains in Greece. Philip is dead, now Alexander is in command of the army. He's now on a campaign into Persia, supposedly to get revenge for what the Persians did to the Greek colonies in Ionia. This is the first battle, the first meeting at the Granicus River. Alexander is actually fairly outnumbered by the Persians in this battle. He uses something that he's going to be using in a couple other battles, where he uses his infantry more as the anvil and his cavalry as the hammer. The way the Persians came out, they still had a large contingent of Greek mercenaries fighting for them. Persian infantry, Persian cavalry, heavy and light mixed on both flanks, and Persian skirmishers in the front. The problem with the Persian Empire, although it was large and could field huge armies, for the most part they were conscripts who really weren't willing to fight. The Macedonians, on the other hand, are all ethnic Macedonians, with just a few Greek mercenaries, cavalry. It's mainly phalanxes in the middle. The Hypaspes, which were kind of a mix of lighter troops, but phalanx still-like, on one end. Some Greek cavalry here, along with Alexander's companions, which were his elite cavalry. These are the Hypaspes. They're kind of a strange troop type that was a phalanx, but they used a shorter spear. They were able to fight a little faster, a little more rough terrain, kind of an elite squad of infantry, if you will. Then out on the flank we have a mix of just skirmishers, but it does include the Agranian javelin men, which were highly regarded. Even though they were just skirmishers, they were great fighters. On the opposite flank is more Greek cavalry under the leadership of the general Parmenio. Interesting character, and Parmenio was a good general, but he's always painted as an idiot by Alexander, and that's probably a little retro history, because Parmenio was eventually executed by Alexander, and there was a need to go back and paint him as not the brilliant general that he really was. This is Persian infantry called Kardaka, and Greek infantry still fighting in the hoplite style. Basically the difference is they're still using a large shield called a hoplon, where the word hoplite comes from, and a relatively short spear, about 6 to 7 feet, whereas the phalangites are using a smaller shield, but they're using a spear anywhere to, at this point, probably about 16 to 18 feet. And Persian cavalry, some of it was set up partially in a swamp. One of the key features of this battle is the Granicus River itself. It had fairly steep sides. The Persians thought that was going to keep the Macedonian infantry from actually being able to cross the river, because getting into the river was no problem, but getting up on the opposite bank was going to be really difficult for the phalangites. Okay, so in the initial opening phase of the battle, the Greeks start moving towards the river. The Persians really don't react too much. Again, pretty confident that the river itself is going to be a barrier. But the big key move of this battle is what Alexander does. He forms his cavalry, the companions, into a column and starts sweeping to the flank. This is something that the Persians really never expected and really failed to react to. Okay, this phase of the battle is the Persian surprise. Alexander has now crossed the river, even though it was quite a struggle, because this is a pretty fast-flowing river. He gets on the other side of the Granicus, forms wedge, and comes up behind the Persian cavalry. The Persian cavalry turns to react, but the rest of the Persian line really isn't aware of what's going on. They continue to move forward, thinking that they're just going to hold the line right at the riverbank and catch the Macedonians disorganized trying to climb the river. In addition, Socrates, who was the general in charge of the Greek cavalry here, has also crossed the river. So it's holding the attention of the Greek infantry here, and also, of course, a flanking maneuver on the cavalry that's turned to face Alexander. Okay, this is pretty much the final phase of the Battle of Granicus. Alexander's made his flanking move. Word's gone down the Persian line now that there's Macedonians in the rear. That causes what Persian infantry was here to flee. The Greeks, on the other hand, are going to make a stand, because they don't really expect mercy, because they're fighting for the Persians. So they retreat back to a hill where they make their final stand. At this point, Alexander's broken up his cavalry. Some has taken the Greeks in the flank. Others are fighting the Greek cavalry still. Because there's nothing to the front, the Macedonians now are able to cross the Granicus unimpeded. The Hypaspes fall on the back of the cavalry, while the rest of the phalanx is starting to march towards the Greek infantry. Socrates and his Greek cavalry are also assaulting the Greeks on the hill. At this point, this is where the Greeks basically figure it's going to be a fight to the end. They ask to surrender, and some of them actually do surrender and are taken into Macedonian service. The rest are slaughtered. The Macedonians supposedly took less than 100 casualties in this battle. The Persians, on the other hand, it was in the thousands, because the cavalry actually does burst through the center and just takes the Persians in the flank all over.
Run.
And this is just the right flank of the Persian army fleeing with the Macedonian cavalry in pursuit. Darius was not here. This was actually under the command of a Greek Memnon. It will be the last time he commands an army. Thank you for watching Miniature Reenactments. I hope you enjoyed it, and please subscribe. Thank you.